Hey, my name is Mark Bost. I'm a district forester with the North Carolina Forest Service. As a district forester with the North Carolina Forest Service, our primary responsibility is fire suppression on any wildfires involving woodland. So no matter what else we're doing, we stop everything we're doing if we have to fill that role. But we also get involved with any type of emergency response, including all natural disasters. We frequently handle assistance for hurricanes and ice storms and anything that could impact where trees could impact roads or houses or people. Seems like over time, there's more and more frequency of natural disasters, and the storms and events that seem to happen now seem to be more frequent and a lot larger in scale than they used to be. And so we do want to do everything we can when we're working with municipalities and planning development stuff to make sure that they are taking good care of the trees that they manage and keeping those trees really healthy, which helps make them more resilient to wind and ice damage. We want to help them make sure that if they're doing planting projects, that they're selecting the appropriate species of tree for the appropriate site and planting the appropriate species on the appropriate soil types, so that those trees can grow and be healthy and be more resilient to natural disasters and be naturally adapted to fit in the site that they're in, so that we don't see problems later on when a species of tree is planted in an area where it really shouldn't go, and then it becomes really susceptible to wind or ice. Bring up the topic of a tree protection ordinance or a development ordinance of any type. There's always people that are opposed to any type of government input into how a developer does something or to how a city or a municipality plans something. But what we see is that if you don't have something in place like an ordinance to address certain issues, that you see things being done that are totally inappropriate, like trees being removed that don't need to be removed, or trees trying to be left in places that aren't properly protected. Like there's a good buffer of trees that a city or a developer wants to leave in between a development and a road or a development and an adjacent piece of property, but they do so much soil disturbance close to that buffer of trees that 3 or 4 or 5 years later we start to see those trees slowly decline and die because their feeder roots were damaged or something like that. So what ordinances do is they put criteria in place to help make sure that protections that are done actually work. So one of the goals that I have for myself is to reach out to cities and towns in my district to make sure that they are aware of good urban forestry practices, that they know about opportunities for grants that they can receive to help train their workers that they hire to learn how to do proper tree care, including proper pruning and proper mulching and things like that. And also that they understand that there are opportunities for their town or their city to become certified as a Tree City USA. The town has to meet certain criteria, but there's a lot of benefits and grant opportunities for towns that meet those criteria. And I have had a little bit of a struggle going to certain municipalities and trying to present them with the information and getting buy-in. I think mainly because they see it as something else that's thrown on their plate for them to have to do, and more hurdles for them to have to jump through, and they just feel like they don't have the time or resources to devote to the efforts that I'm asking them to get involved with for promoting tree care or sustainable development, or making sure that they have an inventory of where the trees that they are responsible for even are. A lot of them don't even really have a good handle on trees that they have to take care of, or which trees are going to need attention first and which trees don't need any attention. They're real healthy right now. So that's just a big part of what I'm trying to do with respect to assisting cities with urban tree care. I went and met with the city manager and some of the other staff in a local town in my district, and just felt like I had hit a wall of opposition to putting more resources and time and energy, or especially putting any more money into tree care. And so I was trying to explain, hey, this is going to actually save you money in the long run, because if your trees are taken care of, there's less maintenance costs, there's less removal costs, there's less pruning costs down the road. You can kind of triage what's important to do now, what can wait a year, what can wait another year, and get a good handle on exactly what you have and what you need to do. That's going to save you money. And also, by working towards becoming certified as Tree City USA, there's a lot of grant opportunities that the town or the city becomes eligible for that could help pay for some of the stuff that they want to do. And you know, some cities embrace those ideas, and some just look at it as another thing put on their plate that they have to deal with. The way I've been able to successfully make progress with encouraging cities to consider some of the benefits of training their employees for proper tree care and proper planting and doing inventories and stuff has been to actually try to get them to the table with another city that has successfully implemented that type of program, and hear success stories from another city or another town, because then it brings a lot more validity to what I'm saying than just me saying, hey, this is a good idea for you, this is something I think you should do. If they can see that another town has done it and that has been successful and has worked for them, and that they're glad they got into the programs and glad they got into the urban forestry grants and glad they trained their workers and that it worked for them, then that's the best way that I have of trying to help encourage a city that doesn't have that to do it. Especially the North Carolina Urban Forestry Council has a lot of training and educational programs and events and seminars and webinars and all kinds of educational outreach to help encourage cities to consider tree protection ordinances and putting in green growth techniques of development and managing trees in the city and things of that nature. So there are lots of opportunities for these towns and cities to get involved. And if you look at where they're held in different geographical areas all across the state. So sooner or later, in a relatively short window of time, there's a possibility of something being close enough to where any town that would have an interest in getting involved can go to something and learn more about it. The passion part of it for me comes out of loving trees and loving the environment, and loving wildlife, and loving the habitat that wildlife can utilize even in an urban setting. And so I care about water quality and the fact that forests that are well managed and healthy help protect water quality. I care about the air. Forests that are well managed and healthy help store a lot of carbon and remove a lot of carbon dioxide from the air, and of course put off a lot of oxygen that we need to breathe. And so those are things that are important to me. I like thinking when I'm riding down the road looking at an urban forest that's going to be there and be sustainable and be something that, you know, our future generations can enjoy, and they'll look back and say the people that were managing these forests, you know, a long time ago did a good job, and that they were careful and that they cared.